How do you trim carnivorous plants? This is a question that comes up a lot, whether it's a Nepenthes, whether it's a sundew, Venus flytrap. This is a question that gets asked often by new growers. And believe it or not, it's not as straightforward as you might think. So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do, and I'm going to show you several different carnivorous plants. That way you can have an idea and take out the worry about trimming your plants. All that and more coming your way. So when it comes to trimming carnivorous plants, there's a few things to note before you actually trim. Now, this is true for Nepenthes and also Sarracenia, what I'm about to go over with you. So the first thing to note is you'll notice that in a healthy leaf, the death or the browning will occur from the top down. The reason for that is a couple things. One is, in this part down, there's fluid. And so that fluid is going to keep that part hydrated. But also up here is where all the dead insects are, as you can see in there. Now this picture has already broken off. It would look like that. And the pitcher will die in phases, right? Now it will die for a couple reasons. One, it could be that it's getting enough nitrogen from the insects, and so it no longer needs that pitcher. Also known as nitrogen burn. That's when it gets so much that it absorbs into the cell wall that actually burns the plant. Similar to if you were to use a lot of fertilizer, it would burn the leaves. The other thing is it could be just time for this plant to die. Now, why am I showing you this and why am I telling you this? So if it looks like this, you're fine to leave it because believe it or not, the plant is still very much ingesting this. Now, it will eventually die back completely like this one. And you've got a few options here. You could cut it right here, just underneath the browning part, and that will allow this part to continue to absorb any nutrients because that's very much alive. And this is where the digestive enzymes are. Now, if you don't want the look of a half-cut plant, you could cut it all the way down near the base, and it will do just fine. Same thing with a Nepenthes. Nepenthes are going to act in the very same way. They're both what's called pitfall traps. And so they are both going to start dying from the top down in a healthy plant. And so you're going to want to do exactly that with Nepenthes. Nepenthes are a little wider, so you can cut the browning part off if you want and just leave the half trap. Some people don't want to do that, but it is still very much a viable plant as long as it has that green on the bottom. So I often say just go ahead and leave it. Now if once the pitcher is completely brown, you can cut it off at the tendril, which is the part that right where the leaf, the base of the leaf where it goes out into the pitcher, cut it there. So believe it or not, just cutting off a leaf is not as simple as just cutting off the leaf. There's a few things to take in consideration that are very important for the long-term health of your plant, and that is what we're going to cover now. So you might think that cutting off a leaf is just as simple as poop, and it is. But there's a few things you need to take into consideration before doing that. One is sterilize your scissors. And so you can use an alcohol, a swab or something like that. Go ahead and clean them. Also, if you're dealing with infected pitcher plants, so if you're dealing with something that has some sort of pest or fungus, do that in between cutting, and that will prevent it from spreading around your plants. The other option that you can do, well, not the other option, the other thing you should do is when you are cutting back your pitchers, cut them back, whether this is on Nepenthes, if you're cutting off a leaf or pitchers or anything to do with your carnivorous plants, cut them where you leave a couple inches from either the base of the plant or in the Nepenthes case from the vine. The reason why you want to do that is, let's say for some reason a fungus does start to develop, you have the ability to catch it and treat it before it gets to the base of the plant, in this case a rhizome, or in a Nepenthes case before it gets to the vine. So now that we've covered Sarracenia and Nepenthes, let's talk about Drosera and how you need to cut those back. Now, Drosera are a completely different animal. You don't necessarily have to cut them back. Actually, you don't have to cut them back at all if you don't want. Their leaves will shrivel up and turn brown, and will eventually get to the point where they almost just fall off. If you don't want that natural look, you can certainly cut them back. So here's an example of that. See how it's just basically, it just comes right out of there. See, there's really no need to use scissors on these at all. You can if you want, but for the most part, see it down here? Here's another example of the dead leaf. You just sort of pull it out. See? And you're off to go. Now this goes for any sort of Drosera for the most part. Some of your more spatulated Drosera, like spatulata, stuff like that, they're going to be more of a pull. It'll come out, but again, you can trim those if you want, like on your Nepenthes. You can trim if you're wanting to keep it clean. I do recommend, so Bonata would be perfectly fine. Filiformis will be fine. Your spatulatas down here will do okay. But if you had any dead growth on the side, you can pull those off. For your Nepenthes, let me see if I can find one. Here's one. For your Nepenthes, you're going to want to pull the dead leaves from the base to keep it from rotting. It's very rare that will happen, but it potentially could if it's not getting enough airflow. And in that case, you would literally just cut, again, a little bit higher than the base, cut it off, and then you will be good with that. All right, now that we've covered sundews, let's talk about Venus flytraps and how to trim them. When it comes to Venus flytraps, think of it more of deadheading other than trimming. Now, you certainly can trim off the dead traps if you want at the petioles, but honestly, you don't have to do anything. You can absolutely leave them alone and nature will take its course. But if you don't like the unsightliness of this, once they get to about this point right here, where they're real flimsy, they'll just pull right out, just like Drosera, and you'll be good. Now, if you tried to do that when the trap is just brown like this, see how it still has some the green, you're not gonna get, and you're gonna end up pulling it out of the rhizome. So you can go ahead and leave it. Now you could come in here and trim it down, but again, leaving room. But ultimately, that's up to you. If you want to do that, it's not going to hurt the plant. As long as it's outside and getting good airflow, it'll be perfectly fine. If it does, if you do grow it inside, it may not hurt to trim some of these off. But that's more of a dealer's choice, what you want to do. Here's an example. These are growing outside, so they're perfectly fine with airflow. But if this was indoors, I'd probably want to come in here and just start deadheading some of these traps around the base so that there's no chance of moisture buildup around the crown. So now that I've shown you how to trim and or pull deadhead a lot of these plants, let's talk about when you should do this. So there are really two times that you're going to want to do this, and that is one, when it's a case-by-case basis, like with this Bonata here. We've got a lot of buildup, so I'm going to want to just grab those. Do I need to do this? No. This plant will be just fine. Bonata is very hardy, but if you want to do it for the unsightliness, then go ahead. Two is you're going to want to do it when it is dormant. Bonata, let me come over here. Bonata filiformis will die all the way back, depending on where you live, and it will leave all of this sort of dead, looks like brown, dried hair, and you want to pull those off. You can do that when it's dormant. It will look completely dead. You just pull those off, and it'll leave basically this. This is actually a dead hibernacula. I don't know what happened to it, but it died. But it will basically look like this, except it'll be alive. With your Sarracenia, you don't pull those off. All these leaves will die, and then you're just going to come through here and just give it a big haircut, but leave about an inch or two of space between the leaf and the rhizome, again, just to catch any of that, if there's any potential for a disease to set in, which is very rare. So here's a dead picture. I'm going to cut this off right there, and done. You can come through here and do the same thing. A couple, leave some space. That one is done. 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 And also doing this during dormancy. It's not dormant right now, but during dormancy will give the rhizome a chance to get that sunlight and push the new growth out without getting drowned out by the old growth. I hope this has helped shed some light. There are a few precautions, things to take into consideration when trimming your plants, but for the most part, it's straightforward, just like any other non-carnivorous plant, with a few exceptions. So I hope this has helped, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.